All right, Pam Junge, we are live. Thank you for joining me today. This is the continuation of my goal for the month of August to go live on Facebook and YouTube every day for every weekday. I did decide to take the weekends off, thankfully, but every weekday
Everybody's
for the
got to have a weekend off.
month. So I have done that so far very successfully. And guess what? Today ends the third week, and next week is the last week. So if I make it through one more week, mission accomplished. I've got some really good stuff on the docket for next week. I'm also going to be interviewing Denise Klein, who you know very well, Pam.
House.
Denise is a national coach. She's coached tons of agents. She has so much to add. And you might want to put on your like, what are the jackets that firefighters wear, like that your heat jacket
Or something, yeah.
because she brings some heat and energy. So that'll be a fun conversation. I'm also going to have on Shelly.
Red-headed firecracker. You got to be ready for her, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'm also going to have on Shelly Johnson. She is a team leader out of North Carolina. She's the one I'm going to be doing the Unbook Club with starting in September for the September through the end of the year at least. And so it'll be fun for everybody to kind of get to know her because I've been talking about her on these live streams a little bit. And then I'm going to have some title and escrow people on. I have an escrow officer who is like dreading coming on a live show, but it's only because she knows that I've got some really tough questions for her. So that will be a good episode. And then we're also going to probably talk about appraisals. I just recently had a realtor who was asking me a bunch of questions about appraisals, and fairly experienced realtor. And I was really surprised at some of those questions. So I thought it'd be good for us to handle that subject as well. So Pam, let me do a quick little introduction of you.
Yeah, and let me just say, I really appreciate. I'm honored to be here and be one of the cast, if you will. Super proud of you for doing this because I know that what it takes to actually be committed to this type of, 1 month, 30-day, getting people. It's like herding cats, getting all of us on here, right? Like this is not simple. So thanks for having me, and I'm honored and look forward to see how it goes.
Oh, I just realized I don't have my microphone in the right spot. So hopefully the audio just got way better for you.
I don't think it changed, but we're good now.
Thank you very much. You're right, Pam. Before doing this, I used to tell people, there's really not anything I'm afraid of. Like I've reached this point in my life where I'm not afraid of anything. But then that got changed when I realized this right here, what we're doing, scares me to death. So thank you for the encouragement and thank you for being on. It's a lot easier when I'm doing it with somebody that I know so well, that I know is comfortable doing it. And so your comfort is coming through the screen and bringing me comfort. So I appreciate that.
Good.
So Pam is the president and CAO. Does that stand for administrative officer or is there some other?
So boring. No, Cody, I've owned my own business for 15 years. I was a solo agent before that. And I'm just at the point in my career. Listen, I've been doing this since I was 17. So it's been a bit.
Yeah.
And, I've been the CEO and I've been the CFO and all these things. And, now being with EXP Commercial and collaborating with EXP Realty the way that I do, I decided I wanted to be the CAO, and that's the Chief Adventure Officer.
Okay, I knew it wouldn't be the traditional administrative officer. So she is the president and CAO of the Junge Group. This is a super, super successful real estate group on both the residential and commercial side. In fact, I was noticing that you guys consistently do 100 million, about half of that on the commercial side and half of that on the residential side. So that is very impressive. You are a 4-time icon agent, which we're going to talk about what that means. That is a huge accomplishment. And there are so many benefits that come in the model that we're in when you're an icon agent. So glad to see that's the case for you. You've been in the business for 36 plus years. So that's awesome to hear. And
then I'd be lying about my age, because I just turned 56 and I got in the business when I was 17. So that's an old bio.
You
But
know,
it's it.
this was your chance to to have everybody think that you're actually you're younger than the age that you actually are, because you look younger than your age for sure. You stayed in
Well, thank,
great shape.
well,
So
thank you.
and then you also are a CCIM on the commercial side, which we're going to talk about the details of that near the end, because that's a very interesting subject for lots of realtors. And the thing I like the best from your bio is where it says you are passionate about mentoring the next generation of professionals. I know that that is true. I have watched it with my own eyes, and it is definitely not just a casual thing for you. This is a very real passion that you have. So appreciate you being
Thank
on
you.
with me. I hope everybody watching either live or on replay just understands what we have sitting right in front of us with Pam Junge, and just how much value and information and knowledge and experience that she brings to the table. So I encourage you guys to listen and watch. And I'm going to put her contact info up on the screen here in a little bit for you to reach out to her later if you'd like. So Pam, anything else about your story that I didn't mention that you just want to mention about yourself?
I mean, no, other than the fact that, I'm also, I will tell anybody that I possibly can. I'm a grandma. I have a
Oh, there
1 and
you
12-year-old granddaughter. And
go.
so, it's interesting to be in this time of my career. And real estate has been the biggest blessing to me ever. It's funny how you can reinvent yourself so many different ways in real estate, right, Cody? So
Yeah.
many ways to be successful in real estate. And so now I'm just finding new ways to be successful in real estate, and be able to do that while also being a grandmother and spending less time in it. But I think you covered all of the basics and the actual business aspect of it. Married for 31 years, still love the guy. So there's that.
You got to put that qualifier on there like that. That's awesome.
Exactly. And
No, yeah. He, I happen to know him pretty well, and I would put him in the super good guy category for sure. He's a fun guy to be around.
he really is. He definitely is the better half of our relationship.
All right. Well, I'm glad we were able to get through that first part and get through all the technical difficulties. You'd think that in 2025, like 25 years after the dot-com boom, we would have technology figured out, but it just keeps getting more complicated and less reliable, it seems. So hopefully
Exactly.
that's coming through okay for everybody else. Okay, so normally I announce at the end something that we are doing in Synergy that I want everybody else to know. I want the world to know about it. But because you, Pam, have been such a big part of making this what it is, I thought it would be very fitting for us to talk a little bit about it in the beginning. And so that is, let me share my screen here. There we go. So every year, our group does a massive service project to benefit, and usually it's a veteran. I think for the last however many years, it's been a veteran. And Pam, for many years, was the one who shouldered the entire burden of bringing this thing to fruition. And I know this is a passion of yours. And this year, our recipient is a veteran named Bob. And Bob actually has a nonprofit to benefit other veterans. So by helping Bob, we're helping all these other veterans. And this is not something that's just for our realtor group. This is for every realtor and every human being that wants to come and participate in this and help us out. And we usually get about half of the stuff donated that we need. And the other half we have to raise. And this is usually like a $50,000 or $60,000 renovation that we do. And this year is no different. So if there's anybody watching who would like to contribute, I will make sure that I have links to these two pages that I just showed in the description, so that if you can either come give us some of your time or make a donation, there's lots of different ways that you can help us. And we would definitely really appreciate that. Pam, from your perspective of somebody who's been the one that kind of has run this, will you tell the viewing audience just what this means to the recipients of these days of service?
Yeah, and if you would allow me, I'd like to start with the backstory, because I think the backstory is really incredible.
Yeah.
Is that, we work for this company of eXp World Holdings, which under that umbrella is eXp Realty and eXp Commercial. And October 6th happens to be eXp's birthday,
Yeah.
right? And so this huge, massive company that spans over 26 countries, they decided that on their birthday, they wanted to celebrate all of the communities that we're in and that we belong to and that we serve. So instead of looking inward, they ask their agents to look outward on the birthday of EXP and to go out in the community and make a difference. And so I was fascinated by this concept, and I'm like, I couldn't love this company anymore. And when I moved over here about 5 years ago and I heard about it, I started looking around to see what was going on in Las Vegas. And it was really apparent that there was nothing really going on in Las Vegas. So I decided to take it on. And like you said, I thought, how can we give back to our community? Well, veterans are very dear and near and close to my heart. And I thought there's no better way than to actually get into somebody's house, make it more habitable, make it more livable, make it more comfortable for them, make it safe. And to do that with a veteran. And the project was born, and it just kind of like took on a life of its own. And I was very blessed to have a lot of support helping me through. But at the end of the day, like what this means to a veteran is that, I mean, we've taken houses where we've remodeled entire bathrooms and put in walk-in tubs because the veteran is not able to actually get in and out of a normal tub.
Yeah.
We've remodeled everything. We've taken what was like, we had one homeowner who she fell trying to get in her pool, which the pool was actually physical therapy for her. She fell trying to get in the pool and broke her hip.
Wow.
So we made her pool safe. We took another veteran. Do you remember Myrtle and Yertle, the turtles?
Yeah.
So one veteran, he was my favorite, and God bless him, God rest his soul. He's passed now, but the fact that we were able to make his home habitable and healthy again for him for 5 years, and not only him, but his two turtles that he had on property for 46 years, Yertle and Myrtle, we rebuilt their entire habitat.
Yeah, that was fun.
So that they could have a home in the backyard again that was safe and comfortable for them. He had those turtles for 46 years.
Yeah, yeah, that was awesome.
And just to be able to provide that, and there's a starfish story, right? And it's like it's only one per year, but man, we made a difference to that one. And what I love about Bob is that you mentioned it in the intro, is that Bob is one man. However, he serves thousands of veterans.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm so excited about this year, because we're blessing not just him. It's not just one. It's lots of starfish we're chucking back into the sea.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And we're going to give them a place where they can actually meet and get together and be more fruitful. And I don't know, this project really has me pumped.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about that forever. I know you could talk about it forever. So we got to move on to some of the other stuff here. But please, everybody, check out those links. Come support us. Be a part of it with us. It'll make you feel great that you've helped out the community. And the more we can give back, obviously, the better. We've all been very blessed. And so for us to be able to bless the lives of others is such a big thing.
And can I just add, no skill set required. Don't be afraid to sign up and show up. There are paintbrushes, there are plants that need planted. Like, there are some of the most simplest jobs, but they're not simple because we need hands and we need hearts and we need people. If you have zero skill set, show up. We're going to put you to work anyway.
Yeah, we'll figure that out for you. All right. So Pam, you are a very successful commercial real estate agent. I think that right now you're focusing most of your personal stuff that you're working on. Your team is obviously split between residential and commercial, but I think you focus yourself mostly on the commercial side. And in just a minute, I want to really jump into commercial. But before we do, I think it would be a disservice to everybody watching if we didn't talk about residential, because we will have a lot of residential agents watch this, and it will be relevant to them. And you have been very, very successful as a residential agent in the past, and you have team members that are also very, very successful today. So tell us, I have observed you with your team members that they flourish. And there's examples of people who knew nothing about real estate and now are icon agents themselves. And so tell us what it is generally, what are the general business principles that you do with your agents to help them be successful?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head just by saying business principles, right? I think that there's a big misconception in the real estate industry. I feel like it's a shame that you can get a real estate license in 5 weeks. and you got this license to go, hit the streets and run amok with very little supervision or actual experience or knowledge about how to conduct real estate transactions. But you got to treat it like a business. So the first thing I do with new agents is I work with them to tap into what are your skill sets, what are your strong suits, where might we be able to sharpen your tools. We build a very simple business plan. You have to understand in this industry that you are running your own business. You're an entrepreneur. And it doesn't matter if you're on a team, if you're a solo agent, if you're with a big firm, a small firm, none of that matters, because at the end of the day, everything falls down to you and your license. So we find out about them. We get them committed to a very simple business plan. You've got 3 pillars in my business plan to work on for 1 year, and you are not allowed to go outside those pillars, because it's too the shiny penny theory. You go on Instagram or Facebook and you're like, oh my God, but he's killing it on short stories, so I'm going to do short stories. No, because that's not on your business plan. So you want to throw out some shorts once in a while, go for it. But if you're not 100% dedicated to whatever your business plan is, listen, it's like being on a team, right? Like, how do you become a really great hitter on a baseball team? It's a matter of showing up every day, being dedicated. It's reps. You get your reps in, right? And so I think the biggest, I'll call it problem, for lack of better words, with newer agents is that they're in the beginning, they're putting the reps in, but they're not seeing results immediately. And so they get dismayed and they give up. And what I'm here to tell you is, if you're newer, is if you're dedicated to a plan and you put those reps in, consider it like putting money in a savings account, because all those seeds that you're planting are going to come to fruition, and they're going to come to fruition in about 6 to 12 months. But you have to be okay waking up every morning and not seeing immediate results.
I love that you're mentioning that. I was actually just having this conversation with somebody who is joining our Synergy community now, and she was asking me, do you think I could, if I work hard now, do you think I could accomplish 3 transactions in the 4th quarter? And my answer was yes, but we got to also be realistic about, do you have any momentum yet? Because what I've noticed is that everything I do in the 1st quarter of a year pays off in the 2nd and 3rd quarter of that year. And so you got to always kind of be thinking like a quarter ahead in my book, the way I think of that.
Right.
The other thing that you said there that I love that you brought up is that being a real estate agent is like almost the purest form of being an entrepreneur. And a lot of people get into the business feeling like it's like more like a normal job or even a corporate job. And we do have a lot of people come from the corporate world into real estate. And in the corporate world, it's a lot more defined. It's like, if you do this, this will be the result. If X, then Y. And in the real estate business, boy, it's like, if X, then it could be a bunch of different things. Who knows what it will be? And so I'm glad that you brought that up. And the other thing that I just wanted to recap on is that you said we help our agents get a simple business plan. And
Absolutely.
I have seen business plans from brokers and team leaders that I'm just like, man, I consider myself a pretty good business person, and I could not do all of these things for sure. So I love the simplicity, focused on that. Do you do anything in particular to help your agents that are on your team know, because there are so many choices of things that they could be doing in their business plan, do you do anything to help them figure out, well, what should I work on?
Yeah, I have workshops that I take them through to get us to those answers, right? Because I'm not going to pour into them and tell them what to do, but like, the Latin meaning of education is actually educo, and educo is to pull out of. And so I've worked with agents long enough to know how to put them through a series of like small little workshops that I could pull out of them where they'll shine, right? Because there's so many different ways to make a very good living and turn real estate into a profession, that I'm not going to tell them they should do open houses. I'm not going to tell them anything. It's about pulling out of them. And then we throw spaghetti on the wall, and an hour later you have this incredible business plan that is 100% tailored to them. And here's another thing is, and I just want to throw this in because it's very unpopular today, and I might lose a lot of people. Be like, I would never join our team. I don't believe in internet leads. I will never feed you leads. I'm not going to do it, and I'm doing it for your benefit, and I'll tell you why. Because I could feed a man a fish and I could feed him dinner. or I can teach a man to fish, and I could feed him for a lifetime.
Preach, Pam, preach.
Preach, baby girl.
I love it.
I will teach to fish. I would rather have one referral from a past client or a family member that trusts me than 100 internet leads. And the thousands of dollars that you have to pay for. We were talking about technology earlier, right? I could pay $20,000 to Zillow a month and feed 10,000 leads to my team if I wanted to.
Yep.
However, they got to make a bunch of horrible phone calls and try to weed through a process to find out who's even qualified. Then, bridge this gap of trust, and then hope that they don't have a cousin that sells real estate too, because they're just going to go use their cousin after you've done all the work educating them. Or I could teach them to build their own sphere of influence, to build their own trust, and to start gaining referrals that way. And so that's who we're not. I'll never educate that way, because at the end of the day, I don't care how robust technology or artificial intelligence gets. This is a relationship business.
Yeah, people having relationships with people. It's interesting because I talk with people who are sort of chasing a team or a brokerage that's promising leads. And there are some exceptions to what I'm about to say. But if you just think that through, for the most part, a brokerage, do you think when those leads come through the door, they're going to just hand you the highest, most quality, most likely leads to get converted? No, they're taking those ones, turning those ones into business for themselves, and then you're getting all the rest. Now, again, there are some exceptions. There are some people that are such rainmakers that they literally can't keep up with everything that they are producing themselves. So that could be the case. But for the most part, those leads have either been kind of churned through a lot, or they're the ones that are the hardest to convert. And if you're a new agent, you're already at a disadvantage for trying to convert those. It's not like you've been in the business for 30 years and you're already a killer at keeping people moving down the pipeline. So it's
Correct.
just, there's such better ways to get the business that you want to get. And also it builds a much more solid foundation for the future.
Yeah. You know what is a good exception to that? And I'll talk about this super quick. Is we all know that video is everything, right? Like YouTube is everything. You wouldn't be doing this 30-day challenge yourself to do all these videos if video wasn't effective.
Yeah.
And that's how we live now. The phone is our remote control for life. I heard that Google just surpassed YouTube in search engine. Or excuse me, I just heard that TikTok just surpassed YouTube in search engine, and YouTube surpassed Google 5 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're all living to find information now, right? So there's a thing called passive prospecting, which you can utilize on a vehicle like YouTube. And it's interesting because if you're constantly putting information out on YouTube that's narrow and niche down to very specific field, and you're consistent at it, you will grow an audience. And then the fun thing about that is that your audience is going to keep watching these. They're going to build a relationship with you. You have no idea who these people are. You don't even know that they're watching. However, they're watching you and they're building a relationship with you. And when it's time for them to pull the trigger, they call you, and you're not having to bridge a trust issue. They're not calling you to interview you at that point. They're calling you because they've already fallen in love with you over the internet. They already trust you. They've seen your business. They know how you operate, and they're calling you to hire you.
Well, and those principles are true with any kind of networking that you're bringing up. I mean, like I tell people, that say I have no SOI. I'm like, so you never do anything fun with anybody else ever? You just stay in your house all day in the darkness and watch videos? Or like, what are you doing? So if you're part of a climbing group, that's part of your SOI. If you're part of a mom's, get your kids together and play group, if you have a church group, I mean, there are so many ways for you. And when you, and what I teach agents to do is make sure that as you're with those people, there's some element of real estate woven into the conversation, which is so easy to do. And it's not even that you're being insincere. You're just talking with people about the things that are relevant in your life. And it's going to bring out the things that are relevant in their life. And pretty soon there's going to be a match where you're going to be representing them in a real estate transaction.
Naturally and organically. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. We could talk about that forever also, but let's move on to the commercial side, because I advertise this as, is commercial real estate, should it be scary? And
Yes. Just kidding.
I would say that there are some things about it that should scare some people, but doesn't have to be scary. So let's start with the first thing that I'm really curious to hear your explanation on, and that is the fact that you are a CCIM. I happen to know that is not something that you just like mail in a little certificate, mail in for a certificate and they send it back to you. It's not like you're going to do like a 3-hour training. What does it take to become a CCIM? Tell us what that is and why that's been important for you.
Yeah, sure. Well, and also notable, I might toot my own horn here. I was the youngest CCIM in the nation. I achieved the designation when I was 23. I have since then been beat out. I think the youngest CCM in the nation now was 22 years old when she received it. But you're right. It is like the equivalent of a master's degree in commercial real estate.
Mm-hmm.
They're comprehensive core courses that you must take. Very rarely are they ever going to be held in your hometown. So that means you're actually committing to fly for 1 week here and there during the 5 core courses, hotel rooms, the whole entire bit. These are so intensive that when you're done with your day, you're exhausted and now you have homework for the rest of the night. So my advice, stay at the hotel wherever it is, because you just want to get in the elevator, go upstairs, order food, because your eyeballs are going to be bleeding at the end of the night. It's a comprehensive, first of all, you learn like the financial models, right? Commercial real estate is very different than residential real estate. If you make a mistake in valuing commercial real estate, it's not like you just cost a seller on a residential home maybe $20,000 in value. You could actually be bankrupting a business.
Yeah.
You could be tanking an investor. So the financial calculations and modulations are incredibly important. And then, they're different along every asset class. Residential real estate also has different asset classes. Obviously, you've got single family homes, you've got townhouses, condos. They all have their idiosyncrasies, might trade a little different. Lending options might be different. However, then take commercial real estate and literally 100x that.
Yeah, because the differences in residential are not as big as the differences in between asset classes and commercial. They're like worlds apart in some cases.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that.
So complex, right? And you'll find that most very successful commercial agents, they're not a generalist. They don't multifamily would be my least favorite, honestly. Like, I would say multifamily is probably your most favorite because you love spreadsheets. So you're talking about rent rolls. It is my least favorite, right? So we don't usually generalize when we're very successful. We're specific in one asset class or a couple.
Yeah, no, I've toyed with the idea of going to make the commitment to get the CCIM. And honestly, the only reason I haven't is because I know it is a big commitment. And I just have promised myself I won't add one more thing to my life right now while it's as busy as it is. But one of the things.
You know what the fun thing about the CCM degree is also, it's like you don't earn the degree by just passing a bunch of comprehensive courses. If and when you pass all the comprehensive courses, then you have to submit a resume of business to prove that you've been transactional. And they don't have to accept your resume of business either. In fact, when I submitted my first resume of business, I was actually in the lending business back then.
Okay.
And we were to all the builders in Las Vegas. We were lending to like Champion Homes and Jimmy Rhodes with Rhodes Construction. And so I was packaging those deals and I sent them off and they were like, no, we don't like this resume. So we were also co-brokering loans through John Alden Life Insurance at the time. And I thought, well, maybe they'll think that this is more prestigious. I don't know. So I started packaging the the brokered loans through the life insurance company. And my second resume was accepted. But it's not a pass a test and get a degree. You don't get the alphabet soup for having this smart. You have to walk the walk.
Yeah, it has to be totally legit, like not with an integrity spin, just like you're actually really practicing this stuff.
Correct.
Yeah. The reason you've sort of encouraged me a little bit in the past to do it. And the reason I've been tempted is because you've said that it can be pretty numbers intensive. And I'm thinking, ooh, I get to have some intense with numbers. Let's do that.
Yeah, you're gonna love it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, yeah, thanks for explaining that. Is there what would could is I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but is there like a general how much does it cost to get that? What would you say somebody should sort of budget if they want to pursue that?
About 15 to 20,000, depending on travel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And there's
Good.
also scholarships available. In fact, one of the agents on my team right now, Jeremy Glore, he was the first recipient of the Veterans College scholarship, and he actually received $20,000.
Wow. Congratulations to him.
$20,000 in scholarship to pursue the degree. And so obviously it not only covers the cost of the courses, but the travel as well.
Let's go back to one of the things you were mentioning about how there can be some big differences. One of the things I've noticed about people who get into commercial real estate is that they tend to really focus, get very nichey on a particular asset class coming out of the gate. And it's really hard in commercial to be a generalist like you can do in residential. And I'm curious to know your thoughts on why that is. Why is it that that's kind of the natural order of things, or is that being forced upon them by the brokerages?
Number one, it is forced upon people by brokerages, not EXP commercial. That's a whole different story and a whole different ballgame. And what we've done is we've set up ways that people can operate in collaboration outside their area of asset class specialty. However, your traditional brokerages, CBRE, Colliers, yes, you are not allowed to operate outside of that asset class. And the reason why it's different is because let's go back to multifamily.
Sure.
So multifamily is an income producing property. It's an income producing asset. And so you determine its valuation based on the net operating income or the NOI. And in order to do that, it's a very comprehensive mathematical equations that you have to go through to get there, right? And
Yeah.
then not only that, you've got maybe hedge funds or private equity groups that are buying large multifamily properties, but every single one of them have different buy boxes. So you have to understand what their flavor is and who you're actually selling these properties to. So it's an income producing property, and that's how it gets evaluated. You could go to, industrial. Industrial is completely different than a multifamily asset and how it functions. One of the great things about EXP Commercial is that we get to do business across state lines because all we have to do is call up our managing broker of that state. As long as we can prove we're a specialist in that asset class, they'll sign off and host the sale for us. Industrial real, my team is selling and leasing industrial real estate all over the United States because we've got logistic clients that are winning these Walmart and Tesla contracts.
Okay.
So we've got spreadsheets of where they're going to be opening new warehouses based on when the contracts come to fruition. So we're going into those towns and cities. Industrial, what do I need to know about industrial? Well, I need to know that logistically, I'm going to be on certain freeways and within so many miles of where they're going to be logistically picking up and delivering. I need to know the function of how that warehouse works. Hey, listen, if you lease or sell a warehouse to a business whose box trucks don't fit through the roll-up door, you have now created them hundreds of thousands of dollars in repairs and so it's about the function. What's the clear height? What's my power? What's the turn radius? Can those trucks actually get around inside that industrial complex, right? So it's about the function of the property.
One of the things that you're mentioning here is one of the things I mentioned to people who talk about getting into commercial. There's a huge difference between residential and commercial because there's almost always a business involved.
Correct.
And that business, you have to have some business savvy, some understanding of how a business operates, because it's not just about, well, this is what they do, so this is what they need. There's a lot more than that goes into it. And because every business is so different, that what would suit one business perfectly, even maybe in the same industry, might not suit this business. The same building might work for one and not for the other because of those differences in how the business is run. And so
Absolutely.
that to me is the complexity of it.
It's crazy, right? Let's talk about like a shopping center. Okay, so I'm a landlord and I own a shopping center, and maybe I have 2 anchor tenants. Maybe I've got a Target and Albertsons. Discrimination is real when you're a landlord in the commercial world. Discrimination meaning I want to build a tenant mix that is fruitful for all the tenants involved, right?
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
you 400-page leases that have exclusivities, right? Like, so if I'm a Domino's and I go lease a space, a retail frontage in this shopping center, I'm
Yep.
going to make sure in that lease I've got exclusive on pizza. So if another pizza joint comes by, or maybe even an Italian restaurant, they don't even have to be solely just pizza. The landlord's not going to be able to lease to them, nor is the landlord going to want to lease to them, because
Yeah.
we want a good tenant mix to keep the traffic heavy. And so that consumers will bounce back and forth in my center and utilize more of the services, not less.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that what you just was describing is a very good example of why it's lots more complicated, because in the residential side, usually the vast majority of the people, they're sort of trying to accomplish the same thing. Even if they're investors in residential real estate, they're investing for somebody to live in it as their residence, that it would be their tenant. And so the outcome, the general outcome of those properties is very similar. And in commercial, it's definitely not. I've also shared with people before, and I don't know if this has changed, but when I looked into it before, the typical E&O policy for residential had a deductible that was way lower, like a tenth of the amount of the commercial deductible. Like if you screw up a commercial transaction, you're protected by your E&O, but you have a deductible that's tens of thousands of dollars that you got to be able to stomach that risk if you're going to be conducting business in that world.
Exactly. There's even transactions that I've closed where I've gone and gotten additional E&Os, an additional E&O policy, because you can do that. It's not like you have to subscribe to errors and emissions insurance and pay on it monthly. You can go out and get spot E&Os for transaction. It's actually very affordable. But there are times when I've doubled protection just for that reason. And it's not because I think that I've done anything wrong or I've miscalculated anything or I missed anything. It's because it's real estate. It's an imperfect asset. It's an imperfect transaction, and you never know. And everything scales, right? Like typically our commissions might be larger. They're usually, much fewer and farther in between. So the cost of the E&O is going to scale.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you've mentioned a couple of times now eXp World Holdings, and that there's this umbrella over the residential and commercial side. I know that this is one of the reasons that you have chosen to build your business inside of that umbrella. And there are some commercial agents out there, if we're being honest, that are just a little bit snooty and sort of like to look down their nose at eXp Commercial. But eXp Commercial has become a very viable solution for commercial real estate agents, and it's very respected. Probably a lot in Nevada. I know it's because of you, so thank you for that. But we have this thing called the Synergy Community that I've explained a little bit on these live streams. And what I love your story on this, and I love how it fits you, because you were able to do residential and commercial inside of the eXp business model. But when you heard the Synergy Community model explained, you said something like, I'm going to tell my team members that this is providing something that I have not been able to provide on my own. Mm-hmm. And the reason that resonated so much with me is because the reason I made the switch and brought my team over to this business model was because I was able as a team leader to provide such a better environment for the agents. So from your perspective, Pam, why has that worked so well? What about it has let you be so successful in having a team of residential agents and commercial, and business broker? We have kind of been leaving that out, but you also have a business brokerage for your team.
Mm-hmm. Well, and just to go even further back in that story, I was a business owner. So I owned the building that my company was in, First Real Estate Companies. I leased that building to my business. At one point I was managing 75 agents. I was not transactional anymore when you guys approached me, because I was so busy in the administrative task.
Doing it all by yourself, all by your lonesome.
Killing me. I didn't enjoy work anymore. I love being transactional. And then I found out about this model and what has worked for me, and the reason why I knew instantly. I mean, I think that like Joe D actually had the first conversation with me, and I think he was prepared. Like he was dug in. Like I was going to be resistant. Like I was going to like fight him.
All of his skills of handling objections, he like had those knives sharpened, and then
yeah, he was ready. And I was like, no, Joe, I'm ready. What's the next step? What do I do? You know, but what worked for me, it's 100%. Like I was able to transfer all the risk, all the liability, all the education. Oh my gosh, Cody, do you remember how long it takes to educate your team? Do you remember how long it takes to just prepare for team meetings and workshops and to pour into them? We leverage all of that through EXP now. I don't care if it's EXP Realty or EXP Commercial or EXP Business Brokerage. I mean, at my fingertips is everything I need to leverage their success. So I can scale, I can be transactional again. The other thing is just collaboration. We've scaled so fast by being able to collaborate with other EXP agents around the world. It's pretty incredible. Do you have time for a little story? Because this is just like a little fun story.
Absolutely. We got time for great stories all the time.
It's just a little fun story. So I do have a client that I helped purchase some land to build veteran housing. And it's not a secret or anything. It's Tunnel Towers, and they're one of the most beloved nonprofits in the world. And they were going to build some veteran housing, and they wanted to be in North Las Vegas, a stone's throw from the VA hospital. So we found a beautiful piece of land, and you want to talk about the intricacies of commercial real estate. So this land was zoned commercial, and we need to go in for a PUD, which would be a planned unit development. It's not necessarily multifamily. When you do a PUD, what the city is agreeing to is this plan. They're not changing the zoning forever. So if this plan doesn't work out, they're safe. They get to go back to their commercial zoning. I'm not going to get into the politics of it, but we weren't approved.
Okay.
And it was political, but that's okay. We weren't approved. And we now own the land, 5 acres. We've since then secured them in another piece of property, and they're totally great. However, that's a little story right there. 2 years ago, I'm in Miami at EXP Commercial, and I'm talking to a good friend out there, Jared Graham, and he's an absolute killer. And so I want to know what Jared's doing, So what are you up to, Jared? And he said, I'm working with all these multifamily developers. And I was like, why is that? And he said, well, we got this new legislation passed that you could take any commercial property and you could build multifamily on it without having to get it rezoned. And I went, what? He said, yeah, because we have a housing crisis. And I said, well, we have a housing crisis in Nevada too. I need help. So he actually put me in touch with the Florida attorney that lobbied for their bill. And I was able to come back to Las Vegas, and I was able to put that attorney in touch with Sarah Howdegay, which is one of our state assemblywomen. And Sandra just got that bill passed in the state of Nevada. And I think our public entities have until January 25th to actually roll it out. If they don't, they're going to be penalized. And what that means to the state of Nevada is that we can build more multifamily houses. We can build more affordable housing. I think it's wild. I'm a Christian, so I know that sometimes God just works through us we just deliver messages, right? But I'm super thankful that I have connections with people like Jared Graham through collaboration of my company that's so expansive and so widespread that allows me that benefit of being able to connect with somebody like that I would never be able to connect with if I was sitting in a CBRE office in Las Vegas with 75 other commercial agents all selling the same asset class I am. How narrow is that?
Yeah.
So we've been able to scale. We've been able to do crazy, wonderful things simply because of the reach of this company and how they absolutely promote collaboration.
Yeah, I will say that you've brought up on the commercial side the thing that I have enjoyed the most on the residential side too, which is that because of the nature of the business model and because of the objective and mission of the Synergy community that we have built on top of that business model, it is the first time that I've seen where collaboration really happens amongst real estate professionals. And that is such a rare thing. It almost never happens, even though every brokerage is trying to create that because it benefits the broker. And when it happens is when it has happened for us is because now the success of the agents is enjoyed by the agents and not just gathered entirely by the broker. And so that is what I love the most about the model, is that it's built for the agent and the agent benefits from that. So thank you for explaining that. If anybody is watching, go ahead.
Sorry, just to touch back on that, you had noted earlier, I'm a 4 times icon. And what that means is that I've virtually paid EXP nothing in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
It feels almost bad. Like,
Well, I used to always say when I was recruiting team members, when I was at a different brokerage, there's no such thing as a 100% office, right? And even though there's a lot that tout it that way, right? And then
right.
when I really dug into this model and realized, oh wait, for me it has been better than 100%. Like it's like they're paying me to be a part of this because of the way the model works. In most brokerages, the highest producers are subsidizing the lowest producers. And
Right.
in this model, that is not happening. The highest producers are capturing all of the value that they're creating. And if you think about all the value you're creating and you add 20%, 30% to that on the end, and then you multiply that over the years that you're going to be in this business, I mean, you don't have to be, you don't have to have a master's degree in anything to know that that's going to be a lot better than if you don't have that. So
Exactly.
if anybody watching wants to get a hold of Pam, here is her contact information up on the screen. That is her email and her cell phone number. And so you'll also notice that in the upper corner, there is a QR code. That QR code, yes, thank you, Pam. You're pointing at the right location. That QR code takes you directly to my calendar. So you can book time with me. I am genuinely willing to meet with any business professional, even if it's not in real estate, any brokerage, whatever, and give some of my time to help make your business better and to give you what advice I can on that. So please do scan that QR code and schedule some time with me or with Pam. If you are a commercial real estate agent watching this thing, you need to talk with Pam. You need to understand what she's got going on, because you probably have the wrong idea about the EXP commercial business model in your mind. And Pam will at least get that straightened out for you. And you can figure out later if that's something that might make sense for you. But I encourage you to definitely be talking with her about that. Pam, have we covered everything you want to cover on commercial real estate?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're both pretty much real estate geeks, and we could
Yeah, we
probably
can go.
talk for another a couple
Yeah.
hours or whatever, but we'll let them go get back to their day probably.
Let me just mention something I'm starting in September that I mentioned at the beginning. This is the Unbook Club. We're starting with this book, Buy Back Your Time. You may have read this before, Pam, but it's by Dan Martell. This book is not just for real estate agents. This book is for everybody. It will change the way you think about your time, about your skill set, how you value your time. And the reason that Shelly and I are calling this the Unbook Club is because we don't think that realtors are actually going to read the book, if we're being honest. So I hope everybody proves me wrong on that. But the deal is this: we will do the reading, we will do the thinking, we'll work through it all. We'll come up with the topics that are the most relevant. We will pluck the nuggets of gold out of this book, and we will be there on Zoom. It'll be for anybody around the country can see it because it's going to be virtual on September 17th. Be on the lookout for that Zoom link. And Shelly and I will come ready to have a discussion. Hopefully you will have actually read the book and be willing to discuss it with us. But even if you haven't read it, please come and join it. I think you'll find the conversation to be very, very interesting. Pam, have you ever read that book?
I haven't, so now I'm going to.
Okay, and we'll see you on the 17th.
You know what I did? I listened to
Go ahead.
I listened to the Headway on it. Do you have the Headway app? The Headway
No.
gives you like snippets of good. It just gives you the best part of each book. So that's all I know about it. But now I'm going to read the whole book.
Headway is like your version of the Unbook Club, right? I think we got a little bit of a lag.
I think we're going in and out again. I don't know if you can see me.
Yeah, I can. So anyway, hopefully you'll be there with us on the 17th. And Pam, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And realtors or anybody else, put in the comments the questions that you have, and we will loop back around. If you're watching this on replay, we'll loop back around and answer your questions for you. So thanks again, Pam. And
All right. I had fun.
Yeah, everybody join me next week. I got 1 week left of this, and I need help. I need support. So we'll see you all then. Have a good one, Pam. Have a great weekend.
Bye.